bit taller than me. I want to tell you why I'm here today. Last night I did what I do every night. I gave my baby daughter a bath. I put her in her pajamas. I gave her a bottle of milk and I put her down in her cot. And I've done this almost every night since the day she was born. Nothing extraordinary, something that every parent here has done. It's a bath time ritual. Except that last night I did this knowing that I'd be here today talking to all of you. And suddenly it took on a totally different meaning. I looked at my daughter Evelyn in a totally different way. She became even more precious than ever. She was more bright, more beautiful, more perfect. Because I was doing it thinking of all of the parents in Aleppo who don't have what I have. I'm safe in the knowledge that when I put Evie down to bed, she's safe. And in the morning she's going to wake me up and we'll have breakfast. The parents in Aleppo aren't. They don't know what the night will bring. They don't know how to provide breakfast. And worst of all, they don't know if their child will ever wake up. 191 children and babies have died in the last month in Aleppo. The UN Human Rights Chief yesterday said, Aleppo is a slaughterhouse, a gruesome locus of pain and fear where the lifeless bodies of small children are trapped under streets of rubble and pregnant women deliberately bombed. The fighting in Syria has been going on for 5 years. Almost 500,000 people have been killed, nearly 5 million have fled the country, and over 6 million are displaced within Syria. Close to 1 in 10 Syrians have died or been injured. This is a humanitarian crisis of historic proportions. At times, it's really hard not to feel numbed by the frequency of the stories coming out of Syria. We see plumes of huge smoke rising from airstrikes and videos of the aftermath is on the internet. The horizon's filled with shells of buildings and people's former houses. And we see the amazing white helmets doing incredible heroic work, pulling children out of the rubble. And we see images of refugees fleeing through the desert, carrying what they can on their backs. And we've seen images of Zaatari camp and camps in Lebanon, thousands and thousands of refugees being hosted and living in tin huts. And of course, we remember the images of the refugees crossing the Mediterranean and of Alan Kurdi on the beach. We're bombarded by these images, and I think we can start to feel really hopeless, like there's nothing we can do. But it's very, very, very hard to ignore what's happening in Aleppo right now. It's barbaric. And it's a siege, and that's what's happening. The cordon of troops has trapped 300,000 people, 100,000 of them are children. They're deliberately cut off from water and power. They're not letting anyone out, they're not letting anyone in. Assad's helicopters drop massive barrel bombs on the homes of those trapped inside, while the Russian planes are dropping bunker-busting munitions on the city's hospitals. The very, very few incredibly brave doctors who still remain have no resources to treat anybody. Even those who are trying to deliver aid are being targeted. As an ambassador for War Child, I've seen the impact of this kind of fighting that it has on children. And recently I was privileged to go back to Zaatari camp and talk to children, and when I asked them, you know, what did you imagine when you left your homes? How long did you think you'd be here in Zaatari camp? They said, we thought we'd be here for a couple of weeks. We thought we'd go back to our houses, we'd go back to school, and we'd be back with our families and our friends. And 4.5 years later, they're still there. Their education has gone, their families have been split apart, and the loss of future and the loss of dreams is just palpable. It's been estimated that 75% of the children in Aleppo have post-traumatic stress disorder. And we all know it. Children are the ones who are bearing the brunt of this conflict. It's children whose lives are being taken away and ripped apart by the brutality of the powerful. So we're all here today to say enough is enough. A signal has to be sent to those who deliberately target civilians and children that there will be consequences for their actions. We cannot allow them to continue to commit these crimes with impunity. And I feel hopeful Our Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson has said that nothing is off the table, and Theresa May has said that she's going to consider all the options if the atrocities continue. So, our message to the government is this. Not only is Aleppo a tragedy, it is a line in the sand. And we're here to call on the UK to grasp this opportunity to lead from the front. The UK can play a really important role in bolstering the international community's resolve to finally put in place a really robust plan to end the fighting. We're calling on you, Theresa May. We're calling on you, Boris Johnson, and we have faith in you. Please act now and save Aleppo's children. Thank you so much.